Okay, the purpose of this video is to go over the method of sealed bids. We're going to use a really small example that was in a PowerPoint on the Pearson website. So we're going to just talk about it first. So these two people are trying to split up a house. There's two people, one house. Obviously you can't cut the house in half. So what they're going to do is use the method of sealed bids to decide how to split up the house. The first thing they're going to do is put in their bids on the house. So, and they don't know what each other person's bidding. Traditionally, this type of bid, Al would write down what he bids on the house and put it in an envelope and seal it. That's why it's called the method of sealed bids. Betty would do the same. So they don't know what each of the other person's bidding. So Al is going to bid $340,000. That's how much he thinks the house is worth. And Betty bids $364,000. Remember, they don't know how each other bidded. So the person who bids the highest gets the house. That's why you can't know how much the other person, what the bid the other person made is. Because if Al knew Betty had made a bid of $364,000, he might have just bidded $365,000 if he really wanted the house. So the person who bids the highest gets the house. So obviously 364,000 is a greater number than 340,000. So Betty's going to get the house. Well, the fair share value to Al is 170,000. Pause the video now if you want to try to figure out why that is. Betty's 182,000. So the reason why the fair share value is a half of what they bid is because there's two people. So since Al thinks the house is worth $340,000 and there's another person bidding on the house, he wants to at least get $170,000 worth of value because that's half the value. There's two people. If there were three people bidding on the house, the fair share value to Al would be 1/3 of $340,000. So the same goes with Betty. It's half of what she bid. Okay, so since Al's fair share value is $170,000 and he didn't get the house, he's owed $170,000 from the estate. Because he has to remember these fair share games, everybody's going to get their fair share. So he's got to get at least $170,000. Those are the rules, okay? He's got to get at least his fair share. So, well, we know Betty's going to get the house. Her fair share value was $182,000, but she's getting $364,000 in value. So she owes the estate $182,000 because she's getting $182,000 more than her fair share value. So since he is owed, Al is owed $170,000 and Betty is giving or putting in $182,000 to the estate, there's a total surplus of, you can pause the video if you want to figure it out. She's giving $182,000 and he's getting $170,000, so there's a surplus of $12,000. So they're going to split this surplus. Since there's two of them, two people, there's a surplus of $12,000. So Al's share of the surplus is $6,000. Betty's is also $6,000. So he's going to get $6,000, and he's going to get $170,000 from the estate. So his final settlement is $176,000. Betty is obviously getting the house. Oops, I almost just drew her name because I said Betty. Her final settlement is the house, and she owes this much, but she's getting that much. So she owes $182,000 minus $6,000. So you can see what happens here. What happens is Betty gets the house and owes the estate $176,000. Al is going to get that $176,000. So he's owed $176,000. That comes from what she gives the estate. So I should say, gets house owes. So he gets $176,000. She gets the house and owes $176,000.